Sometimes we shoot the show in a closed studio, sometimes at some of the biggest tech headquarters around the world, and this is why I love the job, because the other times it brings you to these scenic locations in this sweltering weather, and with us we have companions, red hot and brand new from the Mahindra plant. We have the first look of the Mahindra XUV3XO. This is the first time you're seeing this on national television, and there's so much to tell you about what this car is like, what's changed from the previous model, what's happening on the inside, a lot of tech on the inside to talk about, and more importantly, we'll be taking this out in this sweltering weather, maybe through a few vineyards, on-road, off-road, and tell you all about what the XUV3XO is all about. This is Tech Today. I'm your host Aayush. Ailawadi. Let's begin. Paisa vasool with this investment from Korea. I always wondered when would I get to use this. Today might be the day, but what I can do is keep this as standby while we're reviewing this red hot Mahindra XUV3XO in the sweltering heat of Nashik, touching nearly 40 degrees Celsius. But let me give you a run through of what this car is all about. This is the new Mahindra XUV3XO. From the front you have this new grille, the lights give you that new bold look. Everything over here looks very different. Like they say, same but different. It does polarize a lot of opinion. I think that this really is in line with Mahindra's new design language. It is, and I'm going to say this at the beginning, and I'm going to say this in the end again, this is a baby XUV700. Not just from the look, whether you like it or you don't. I personally think it's pretty cool, but also in terms of its approach angles, in terms of how the bonnet is visible when you're driving. I'm going to get to that. And then there's one big change with this from the 300. This is the 3XO. Well, the 17-inch alloys are a welcome addition, because if you're talking about an SUV, even though this is sub 4 meter, a compact SUV, it's taking on the likes of the Sonnet and even the Nexon EV and some of the premium versions of this, which go up all the way to AX7L, similar to the XUV700. Then it's taking on even some versions of the Seltos and the Creta. But on the side, things haven't changed a lot. The inside we will reveal midway through the video, but let me show you the back of the car, where everything looks a lot sportier. I, for one, really like this new Infinity LED that runs across. Everyone's doing it. Mahindra's done it pretty well. It looks nice. And then at the bottom as well, the bumper gets a much sportier look. Now, one thing people haven't been very happy about is the boot space, especially in the XUV300 and even in the 400. Over here, one thing I can say is that in this segment, they've given you so much space in the front. They've given you a panoramic sunroof running to the back and a very comfortable rear seat. So when it comes to the boot, I don't think much has changed, but we'll have to test that with all our luggage on Tech Today with the next shoot. But for now, it seems like there's enough space, but maybe marginally better than the XUV300. But that's something that maybe we'll have to test a little later. One thing I don't need to test is, well, I got my #1 fan from Korea right here. Maybe I'll see you on the inside and then take this for a spin. The minute you get on the road with the new XUV3XO, I call it a baby XUV700 because they've managed to mimic the DNA in several ways of its elder sibling. For instance, it matches the forward visibility that you get on the bigger XUV700. It's 24 degrees nearly, and I'm getting that over here. You can see right till the edge of the bonnet. The ridges make it feel more masculine, more bold, and honestly, the drive quality is quite good for a car at this price point. Now, just like the XUV700, this also comes with 3 drive modes. I'm going to put it in zoom, and you see a little bit of the animation changing. Let's just see what that torque is like, what that acceleration is like somewhere. All right, it's raring to go. There's a little bit of lag, but then it's very reassuring because even the steering is quite responsive. It feels a lot like an EV. This, of course, is the petrol AX7L variant that we're driving. The diesel will give you, of course, better mileage, but it's quite a refined engine. I think this is what Mahindra has gotten right with its SUVs. We've seen it with the XUV700, we've seen it with the Scorpio N, and of course the Thar as well. That's something we did speak to Velu about as well, but I think there's a couple of months before that announcement is made. But just after the Wrangler announcement, it's going to be interesting to see what the 5-door Thar will look like. We have some bit of an idea, but more importantly, what it will drive like. Now, if you compare this particular car, the 3XO, with any of the other cars in the segment, say the Nexon or the Sonnet, there's a bunch of features that this gets right. And I think Mahindra was quite upfront with their presentation as well, saying 9 out of 10 features that we're comparing, we've gotten right. One of them, perhaps the other ones have, which do really well. Those are segment leaders in this space. So Mahindra is really trying to disrupt. So they've given you a tech-loaded and a feature-loaded package, but you don't have ventilated seats. And that's a big miss, especially if you're driving in nearly 40 degrees Celsius in Nashik. Maybe that's something that we'll see in the next version, or maybe that really would increase the pricing because it's very competitively priced, from 7.5 lakhs all the way up to 15 lakhs. It's a massive spectrum. So if we're talking about first in its class features, there's also the sky roof, which if you put the blinds back, extends all the way till the back almost. And so the rear passengers also get to enjoy the sights and sounds and maybe a sunset or a starry night. But of course, it only opens till here. But even then, to get a panoramic sunroof in a car at this price point is no mean feat. So this is truly disruptive in many ways. Now, I showed you a pain point of the car earlier, but they say that the boot is improved as well, so you have more space. But it is best in class, well, front leg room, occupant space as well at the back. So they've managed to do that with the wheelbase on this car, maximize the space in the front somehow, and still keep it sub 4 meters. A welcome addition at this price point is also ADAS Level 2. Autonomous driving at Level 2. Of course, it's not full self-driving yet over here in India. Tesla is really trying to push that in override and overdrive in China and the US. But ADAS Level 2 was something that worked very well in the elder sibling again, the XUV700. And guess what? It works exactly the same in this car. That's why I keep saying this is a baby XUV700. I put the car in cruise control and the car is driving perfectly fine. The car up ahead, the minute it brakes, this one's slowing down as well. So adaptive cruise control is one thing, but also if it's really torrential weather, the monsoons are going to come here in Maharashtra in a month or so, and then if it's heavy rain, dense fog, the car's sensors can work. They also recognize speed limit signs and traffic signs and stuff like that. So the sensors work in a car at this price point. There's also auto emergency braking, drowsiness detection. These are things that are unheard of in this particular segment, but they're working, and they're working fine in the XUV3XO. All right, that's enough of the drive for you for now, but what I want to do is pull over right over here, put the car in park, and tell you a little bit more about the tech in the car. Does the XUV3XO pass the tech check? Well, that's what we're going to find out. Okay, so we pulled over just to talk a little bit about the cabin and the tech in this car. First things first, let's talk about design. There's a lot of soft touch, this leather sort of finish. Then there's a little fabric design over here. And this is the first real indicator that they want to be disruptive and be premium with a cabin like this. This, of course, is the top end variant. What is the touchscreen like? As of now, wireless Android Auto and CarPlay haven't come to this particular version. By mid-May, you'll have it in all these cars. So the ones you purchase, I think with an update will be sorted. You have the drive modes, zip, zap, zoom. I've showed you those before. This is a 10.2 inch screen and then a 10.2 inch cluster. While this is all right, this really works in the XUV400 Pro as well. It works in all Mahindra cars. Adrenox is their Car Connect system, which I'll show you as well. Harman Kardon system over here, which does a fairly decent job. I mean, you're getting a Harman Kardon system in this car. That's a big deal in itself. Let's open Adrenox and see what are the features over there as well, right? So right here, it's showing you my current location. It tells you what the fuel diary is like, how much is left based on my driving. The fuel log is right here. I can still drive 415 kilometers. That means I could drive from here to Bombay maybe 3 times over. And then you have the current trip, the trip summary. You also have the vehicle status, right? Headlamps, park lamp, hazard lamp off. You put it on, it's going to show over here. You can turn on the car, you can switch it off immediately. You put it on, even with patchy network, in 4 or 5 seconds it tells you the hazard lamp has been left on. You can switch it off. I think that's a really cool feature that comes in this system. You have SOS up over here. What else can you do? You have your SUV info. You also have ways to connect it to your smart home, roadside assistance. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do in this particular car. But very quickly, if I click on this live tracking feature, it opens up with Map My India, tells me exactly where I am, whether the driver and the passenger are buckled or not. And that's really owing to the safety features of the car, because Mahindra cars usually get very high NCAP scores, be it Bharat NCAP or Global NCAP. Sometimes a 100% 5-star rating on many of its siblings. It's very likely, with all the features that have been introduced in the 3XO, that this will also get a very high rating when it goes for testing. But talking a little bit more about the cabin of the car, you also have wireless charging right over here. You also have a 65-watt charging socket and then another USB. But the 65-watt charging means your MacBook, your tablets, all your heavy devices can also be charged from here. Thank God it's not an EV, because you'd be stressed about the battery being consumed. There's a whole bunch of other features which come with this 10.2-inch screen and then another 10.2-inch screen right over here, which is the digital cluster. You also have an electronic parking brake with auto hold, the Harman Kardon premium audio with the amplifier and subwoofer. When it comes to safety in the 3XO, all 35 standard safety features are there from the base variant all the way up top, and that is very refreshing and very reassuring that safety is not compromised in the 3XO. When you're talking about these features specifically, you have a 360-degree surround view system, a blind view monitor, a new gen electronic stability control, hill hold control. You obviously have standard across the lineup 6 airbags, 4 disc brakes, 3-point seat belts and seatbelt reminder for all seats, along with a passenger airbag on-off for child safety, ISOFIX mounts, and of course you have all sorts of protection for all occupants. Even when the camera team and the production team have been shooting, if they didn't put on their seatbelt, you're going to hear all sorts of beeps and sounds, which sometimes can be annoying, but honestly it's needed, especially in India where people flout these norms all the time. And with that, of course, you have all the ADAS features, which honestly make it very reassuring. And that's why now it's great to see a lot of made in India products, homegrown brands like Mahindra and Tata, not compromising on vehicle safety. And the 3XO is no exception. All right. The XUV3XO, an absolute pleasure to drive. I said this in the beginning and I'm going to say it again. This is a baby XUV700. Big things come in small packages. Look, the car starts at 7.5 lakhs for the base variant, and then the more tech and the more interesting engine options you come up with, all the way similar to the XUV700, the big boy in the Mahindra stables, goes up to a model named AX7L, or the luxury trim that comes with all those features that you would hope for in your SUV. Someone was saying a couple of days ago that they couldn't buy the XUV700 for 2 reasons. 1, because it's always with a long waiting period, and 2, because the car is too big to really maneuver in a city like Mumbai. The XUV3XO might just be your solution if you're on the market for a Mahindra tech-loaded, safe and refined SUV.